Well, we're back with the um, Minor Arcana for the Flux Arcana Tarot by Micah Ulrich. He is on Instagram, so do go check him out. You can find him at Micah Ulrich, just his username. I'll add a link in the description of this video. And today, I'm going to try and move through it as quickly as possible, so I've got a couple of runes laid out over here to help me move through things as quickly as possible, and just concentrate my energy on getting this done. So, we'll start off with the suit of swords. We have the Ace of Swords. You'll notice that throughout all of the Minor Arcana, some of the traditional symbolism that we might be used to seeing in Rider-Waite Smith style decks is not present, although it does have the elements. The sword still has the crown and the foliage growing alongside it. Although, as one of my friends pointed out, this deck could go one of two ways when reading for other people. Most people who aren't familiar with tarot get a little bit spooked when they see the death card crop up, and as you're going to notice, this entire deck is made up of death cards. Every single one of them is a Grim Reaper of sorts. The Two of Swords with the two swords, our Three of Swords. Notice that the traditional imagery of the heart pierced with the three swords is not in this card at all. Instead, we have a ram holding up three swords. When I spoke to the artist about the symbolism and the notable lack of a white book with the deck, he said that he would rather that readers or people who are going to use the deck feel free to connect with the deck more on their own terms than feel bound by any symbolism that he might comment on in the white book. So here we have our Five of Swords and the Six of Swords. I like this guy, he's wearing a helmet. Again, as with the Major Arcana, I love the texture in the ink work. Let's see how close I can get it. There's some really nice chalky textures in there. Alright, I'm going to start moving a little more quickly so that we can get through all of them. The Seven of Swords. The Eight of Swords. I really like this card. The Nine of Swords. And here we have the Ten of Swords. A little bit more traditional, but still very, very dark. Our Page of Swords has a somewhat poetic feel to him. The Knight of Swords. The Queen of Swords. It's interesting that in this card she is pierced by her sword, as opposed to holding it in her hands. I also like the sort of tip of the hat to what I feel like is a tip of a hat to the High Priestess in her dress. The Moon and the Stars. Alright, the King of Swords is another pierced character, reminding me very closely of the king in the deck of cards, right? Playing cards. Sorry, he's also pierced with the sword over there. Okay, and the Ace of Wands. It's interesting to me, this skull. I'm not sure what animal it is. In the beginning, I thought it was a horse, but I feel like it might actually be a cow, simply because of the connection to the earth and labor or working. Alright, the Two of Wands, our choice between sunflowers. The Three of Wands, we have our three wands here in the sun with a little bit of scroll work, and the figure reaching out in supplication to the Wands. Alright, the Four of Wands. This is an interesting card. None of the traditional symbolism in it, normally representing great joy and happiness or the achievement of a short-term milestone. Over here we have a skull with a third eye awakening and a figure with his hands in the benediction pose, sitting on top of the skull. So I won't go into too much detail of what I think it means, but it's quite an evocative card. Alright, the Five of Wands. Oops, don't fall off. And here we have the Six of Wands. Another lovely card. This is actually one of the cards selected for the artwork on the deck, the box. One of my friends told me that it's called a tuck box. In my last video, I wasn't sure what the name of that kind of box is. So it's a tuck box, in case you're wondering. The Seven of Wands. Here we have our figure very happily dancing in his garden. Not much of the normal defensiveness that I associate with it. Alright, and we have the Eight of Wands over here. I love the wands growing out of this figure's back and the idea of harvesting the work that he has put in. And we have our Nine of Wands. This guy's starting to skip. Very happy towards the end of the deck of wands. And of course our Ten of Wands. Usually the Rider-Waite-Smith decks have this very burdened and responsible looking character in the Ten of Wands. In this deck, however, we have a lot more of a sense of growth, a lot more of a sense of fruition, and of plans being fulfilled. So I kind of like this layout. The wands are very, very nice in this deck. The Page of Wands. A nice little monk-like figure. I feel it's almost St. Francis-ish. The Knight of Wands over here, reining his horse in, but could be ready to leap off into action. Our Queen of Wands, holding up her wand for the first time here with a face in the flower. Again, a tip of the hat to the High Priestess. This whole idea of the feminine associated with the moon and night being, the province of dreams and intuition. Very strong in this card. The King of Wands. Here he is with his sunflower growing, and it has leaves on it. It's quite a triumphant card. Look at my sunflower. Ta-da! Alright, and we're into the cups. We have our Ace of Cups with our traditional cup with the leaves growing out of it, which is very nice. I love the detail work in this robe. Isn't that texture just lovely? Alright, the Two of Cups. Normally the Two of Cups is all about harmonious relationships and kind of good balance of emotional states. In this one we see some wine falling out of the cups, and I suppose that is a valid way of achieving balance of emotions from time to time. The Three of Cups. Again, a very happy card. Our Four of Cups over here is a very interesting card. The ram, again, holding up his two cups with two cups sort of resting on almost like pedestals below him. Alright, let me quickly unlock this monitor again. Okay, and we have the Five of Cups. Six of Cups. Getting happier as he's moving towards the end of the deck. The Seven of Cups, our daydreaming card. Here we have someone juggling a bunch of cups, but there seems to be one cup that's a bit different to the others. I wonder what you would make of that in your readings. The Eight of Cups. This was a card that made me think quite a lot, because traditionally the whole Eight of Cups is about moving on, time to make the emotional move on from a place or situation that wasn't or that is no longer emotionally fulfilling. This character has horns, and he's one of the few human skulls to have horns. Here we have a really sort of illustrious ram. We can tell by all the curls in his horn. And his Nine of Cups. The rams are traditionally strongly associated with earth, right? So it's interesting to see it cropping up in the Nine of Cups, of course, because the nine refers to like the almost completion of the deck, of the suit, sorry. And there's something about becoming grounded towards the end of the work. The Ten of Cups over here is really nice. We have one cup pouring into another, pouring into another, pouring into another, all the way down to the bottom. It has a very similar feeling to that fulfillment and interdependency within like the family situation that we see in the traditional renderings of this card. Our Page of Cups, looking very much like an initiate of sorts. The Knight of Cups, Messenger of Love. It's interesting that he's facing in this, towards the right of the card. The Queen of Cups, doing a little skip. Again, I absolutely love the detail in the robes. Such beautiful penwork. And we have our King of Cups over here. We've seen that cup before. And now we're on to the final suit in the deck, our Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles is, again, a robe that has the same sort of markings that we have come to associate with the Queens, which is interesting. Also a ram's head, though. Here we have our Two of Pentacles, looking very much like a nun with extra eyes on her forehead. The Two of Pentacles are here in the cover of the book. The Three of Pentacles are a card of building and of group work and teamwork. The wings over here are interesting. I wonder what you make of those in your own readings. The Four of Pentacles. This guy starts getting really interesting now, because we have that recurring ram's head and four hands now, each one of them adopting a different pose, and each of these poses has a different symbolic meaning, of course. I won't go into too much detail about what I've dug up about these hand positions, but they are certainly interesting to consider when reading the card. All the other traditional symbols that we might read when reading a Rider-Waite deck, or even some of the more detailed Marseille decks, are missing from this particular deck. So looking into the symbols, like the eyes, the placement of the eyes, the positions of the hands, even some of the poses of the actual figures. Quite interesting to take a look at that in terms of symbolism and what it means for the card itself. Alright, here we have our Six of Pentacles. Our Seven of Pentacles. This is one of my favorite cards in every deck. Patience. I feel like he has this hand on his chest in restraint. The Eight of Pentacles. A very strong feeling of benediction happening here. The pentacles in her robe. Cloak, sorry. Here we have our Nine of Pentacles getting close to the very end of the suit of Pentacles. The interesting thing is that the pentacles in this particular card take up more space than the figure, and it's one of the very few cards in which this kind of relationship happens between the character and the suit mark. Our Ten of Pentacles over here, again we have this robe of night. This character is also crowned with the moon. It's very interesting that they're, in terms of pentacles over here, they've been reduced to stars. Okay, not actually the full form of pentacle. Here is our Page of Pentacle. Also very much an initiatory character. Although he seems, or this page seems to be quite a lot darker than the pages we've seen previously. The Knight of Pentacles has his horse branded with a pentacle over there, and whereas the normal or the traditional deck that we might be used to seeing has a very strong sense of attention to detail and patience in the Knight of Pentacles, we see this knight heading off towards the right, the conscious, active, future side of the card. But he's reining his horse in. Although, by the tension on these reins, I'm wondering whether he isn't spurring the horse on more, as you can see with his heels over there. Our Queen of Pentacles, doing a little bit of a strut in her cloak of night and stars. Also a ram's head. Not a traditional image associated with the feminine, right? And finally, we have our King of Pentacles with a human skull. Hand positions worth noting. And substantially smaller, it feels, than figures on some of the other cards. Alright, well, that has been the minor arcana in the Flux Arcana. The card stock, as I have mentioned before, is really nice. The thickness is perfect for shuffling. The cards are not too glossy. They have something of a matte finish, but they slide really well off each other. And they feel really good to work with. So if you're interested in this deck, definitely go check out Micah Ulrich on Instagram, or you can just do a search for the Flux Arcana Tarot, and you'll definitely find his store there. Thanks very much for watching.